Welcome to Raising Kindness, the podcast for loving and ambitious moms and dads, episode number 46. Hello, welcome to the show. My name is Melissa Dillon. I'll be your host today, and I'm excited about today's episode because we're going to talk about something that I learned years ago from an interior designer. I am definitely not an interior designer, but I thought that this would be a really great episode to transform your home into a sanctuary. So we greatly appreciate our space, but I also lived in a time when I did not so much. There was a lot of clutter. Everything felt like it just wasn't in place. I never really enjoyed being at home, and I spent a lot of time outside of my house because I didn't really like being where I was constantly reminded that there wasn't really a place for everything. And if you're feeling that way, that's okay. Today's episode is going to definitely be for you. Even if you are a very organized person and you use your home well, you may find some tidbits in here or a mindset that you may not have thought about before. So I'm going to dive in today. This is the very first time I've ever brought up interior design, only because it is not my expertise, but I definitely want to bring someone or a few people on the show to talk more about it because I truly believe that your home is a reflection of how you're feeling on the inside. So if things are feeling disorganized and disheveled or not quite like your home is a joyful place to live in with your family, then maybe getting some advice from an interior designer may be the right thing. So if you want me to bring someone on, go to raisingkindness.org/46 to join the conversation about this episode and let me know so that I can go ahead and find somebody. I do have a couple of people in mind that I could bring on the show to talk more in depth about specifics, things that experts can tell you. Okay, but this is something that I learned long ago, way back when in my late 20s when I was a single mother and I wasn't really sure about how to set up a home instead of a house. So we moved around a lot as a kid. So I never really experienced the homely feel that I really wanted to provide for my son. And years ago, when I was in marketing, I had the pleasure of working with a friend who hosted an interior design event in LA. And someone who was there, his name is Cohler, and he is a professional designer who's been featured in Architectural Digest, CBS, HGTV, Bravo, NBC, PBS, and The View on ABC. Now, my friend happened to be very good friends with Eric, and so I got into a conversation with him, and it was an inspiring conversation. So I asked him, with keeping in mind how my home wasn't the greatest place to live in and how I really wanted to make my house a home, I asked him this. For someone like me who is a non-designer, where would you recommend I start to make my house a home? And this is what he said that completely changed my life and my thoughts about how I approached the way that I keep my home. He said, quote, something like this. Well, you have to think about how you use the space, every space, watch your behaviors, and move furniture around accordingly. So he prompted me to ask myself some questions. He said, ask yourself questions like, where are you leaving things around? Where do you enjoy your time most? Why don't you use certain spaces? Where do you wish that you could use some space, things that aren't utilized? Where are your windows and your lighting where you're not quite enjoying it as much? Why are spaces getting cluttered and unused? And what do you wish that you had in your home that you do not? Now, I know that you're at home because we all are. So looking around in your home, are there any spaces? When I asked you these questions that he prompted me to ask myself, where was there anything that came to mind? Any rooms in particular where like, I don't like spending time in that room, or, oh, I love spending time in this room and I wish I could use it more, that kind of thing. Are there spaces in your home that are underutilized? So thinking about that, going into each room and just observing what is going on in each room, where things aren't quite where they should be. And another thing I'm going to attribute to dear Grandma Dillon is she always says, a place for everything and everything in its place. And I think that's just the coolest thing. And my husband has brought that into our home too. Every time something's out of place, we always hear, a place for everything, everything in its place. And I'm happy for that because it is very important to have a place for everything and everything in its place. And especially for kids and all of their stuff, they could just end up everywhere, right? So as long as they have a place for something, and if they don't, then you can work together and include them in that process of figuring out where their things can go. So with the whole family, you can even get involved in this process of creating a sanctuary for your home, making everything feel like it's a serene environment to be in, that every room has its purpose. So to give you an idea, and another thing that I'd love for you to hop over to raisingkindness.org/46 for this episode to join the conversation, is I was thinking about taking a video of our little home. I'm going to tell you exactly what's in it now, but I'd really love to give you a video tour of our home so that you can actually see how we've used the very small space that we have. And maybe it'll spark some ideas for you. And you don't have to spend money either. I'm sure that you have plenty of things, especially if over the years you've been in the same home. You may have lots, you may surprise yourself, lots of surprising boxes and spaces where you can put things that you never thought about before. It just takes a little time to just sit down and think about it and go through your stuff. And another thing is to purge stuff too. So as you're going through each room, taking it upon yourself to get rid of stuff. And we've done this maybe since we've been married. We got married in 2013, and I think we've done 4 or 5 purges of things. The first time we did it, when we moved in together, we literally filled 2 gym buses worth. So a gym bus is our other business. It's a mobile tumbling program. And that thing is 37 feet long. And we filled it up twice and took it all to donate or sold some stuff. I don't remember. That was the first time. But so if you and your spouse have come together and have a bunch of things that you've accumulated over the years and you haven't purged recently, then you may be surprised at how much space you can open up just by getting rid of stuff. And then once you're cleared up of purging, then you can go in and start creating your little sanctuary spaces. And what I encourage you to do is do something similar to what you did with your coronavirus success plan that I have over at raisingkindness.org. We're on a website. You can get it at raisingkindness.org. And it goes through a step-by-step of including your family in conversations and figuring out what their hopes and dreams are. So you guys can actually have fun with it and jot down notes about, oh, what could we do in your bedroom, sweetheart? Or, ooh, what I've always wanted to do this and have a reading nook in the living room. Or I've always wanted to have a different kind of space or layout in the kitchen. So, I would really like to do a video for you guys. Let me know if you're interested. Because we've done something a little unique in our kitchen and we get compliments on it all the time. And we have a teeny tiny we have a pretty small kitchen. So I'm going to let you know what we've done. So taking Eric's advice of just being mindful about all the spaces and how we use our home to create our sanctuary at our home and why we enjoy being at home so much is we live in a small, not by most standards, a small home, a 960 square foot house with a 2-car garage. So with the garage, because we do utilize that for some of our living space, it's about 1,100 square feet. So I know that in San Diego, we have a lot of military housing. So that's a pretty standard size if you're looking at an older home, especially because homes are so expensive here. So a lot of people live in homes that are a lot smaller. But I know a lot of you also live in homes that are a lot bigger, at least twice the size of our space. So we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that's 1,100 square feet. So that's what we're working with. So if you have something that's bigger, you can do this too. I know it. So what we've done to give you an idea about what's possible is I'll go room by room. So in our living room, we have our couch and our entertainment center, just like most homes do. And then we actually have our dining space, a little table, just because our teenager's with us part-time. We have our adult son who's moved out on his own, so he's not here that often. So we have a small dining table. And then we've also got a reading nook right by an open window. And we have a music space. So we've put, my husband's guitars are on the wall, and then drum set is in a corner, and it really seems to work. And our space is very open. And we also like having guests over. So it was also really important to us to have seating. So we have the couch and then the big bean bag that's really cozy for a couple to sit on, or a child and a parent to sit on for reading, and then the dining table. So we can fit a good 15 people in our living space comfortably to have a nice chat or have a game night or karaoke night. We do that too. And because we have our small dining space in the living room now, we actually opened up the little breakfast nook that I think is pretty standard in a lot of homes to have that, just that space, you know what I mean? And if you have this will apply to you, where we had an open space. And in our kitchen, it is a very small kitchen as far as counter space is concerned. Our last house, which was similar in size, had a much larger kitchen with a lot more counter space. And if you cook, very little counter space is really frustrating and hard to work with. So we wanted a space, or I wanted a space that was first by the window. I like being by the window when I'm, prepping food or whatever. And so we took it was like it's got some shelves on it. It's this furniture from IKEA, and it's like a bar height table that's basically a butcher block top. So we're able to cut right on it, which we usually don't. And then that's right by the window. And the way that it's set up is so cool because I can look out the window and prep food. And I prep food there all the time. All my baking, all my cutting, everything is right there by the window. And it's just so pretty. So that really opened up our kitchen. It's almost like having an island when that kitchen originally just shouldn't have had an island. It was so small. So our kitchen is also very much like a sanctuary. It's also our serving place too. So it serves a lot of purposes. Then we actually have a decent sized patio. And instead of just having the open patio with nothing, we happen to have a dining table that was larger when all our boys were home. Then that was the dining table we had in the other house. So when we moved, we took that dining table. It was too big for this little house. We put it in the backyard, and it's a glass table, so it's easy for us to do that. And depending on what kind of dining table you have, you may be really interested in doing that, especially in this season. You could really enjoy it for a good 6 months, 7 months out of the year where you get to enjoy your meals outdoors on your back patio. So if you have a paved patio, you can get yourself some extra square footage by putting that dining room table in the backyard. And then again, that creates a sanctuary space for your backyard because now you have seating in the backyard that you may not have had before, seating in the backyard that's not covered in spiders that you don't want to sit in. I mean, how many of us have that? And we have that too, where we have seating space that was originally all that was out there before we figured out, we should move the dining table out there. Then it collects. I mean, if you don't sit on it all the time, it's so easy for it to collect dust and dirt and grime and spiders and spider webs. And whenever you have that, where you have something that's dirty, don't you notice that that's the time when you tend to use it less? You tend to use it not at all. And if we just spend that extra time to put a little love to clean everything too, and that's really important too, is being intentional about keeping things clean, especially outside, because then as soon as it's clean and dusted, you get to enjoy that space. And if you have a yard, especially after all that rain we just had, and if you had some greenery, if you're not enjoying it, having that seating space will create some extra sanctuary. Not only that, if you go back to my episode number 45, I talk about some relaxation ideas, and I talk about how important the sun is. And just sitting out in the sun 5 to 15 minutes a few times a week is huge. So if you can get if you need that open space, need that relaxation, that sanctuary, taking it outside could be a really great place for you. If you aren't doing that yet. So just spending a little love on your backyard too. And then moving into our garage, that's my husband's man space. So everything that's manly is in there. But there's also a lot of fun family stuff too. So he has a pool table in there, and we spend a lot of time on it, especially when people are visiting and such. That's usually his go-to space, is hanging out in there. He has a seating bench, the pool table, and lighting, which has been really important too, because it gets dark, of course, in the garage. So if you don't have your garage set up for enjoying the space, and maybe your car is in there, or maybe it's really cluttered, maybe while you're home, you can make that a priority to clear out the garage, because you can open up some extra space and be mindful about some other things. You could even use, if you wanted, a craft space, or create a craft space for the kids, or extra outdoor seating where you can enjoy some quiet, focused, creative time on your own. I just imagine with the garage and the type of flooring that a typical garage has, it's always a great place for messy stuff. You can even create messy playstations out in the garage. When I say playstations, I mean like activity spaces that may involve paint or water or soap or foam or whatever you're doing with the kids to create tactile activities, things that they can do to stay busy and enjoy a shaded outdoor private space to, again, have sanctuary with things that you wouldn't want in your home. A garage is a perfect place for that. So those are some ideas that you can do there. And then I'd like to go into what we've done with the bedrooms, which I really like because we have 3 very small bedrooms, and we've gotten pretty creative with the space that we have. So before I get into that, I'm going to go ahead and give a chance for a word for our sponsors. Sorry, technical difficulties here. Here it goes. Interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? There are definitely times during this COVID-19 experience when I feel deeply anxious, down on our circumstances, and not quite the most positive version of myself. This is why I've decided to turn to BetterHelp. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 24 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. There is a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's counselor network, which may not be locally available in many areas. Get help with anxiety, trauma, grief, even parenting struggles. I mean, we can all say we need help with that at some point, right? The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches as they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. They have an abundance of reviews. One review, for example, is, "I'm really grateful to have Stacy as my counselor. I hit a rough place and was looking for a therapist I would feel comfortable talking to, as well as someone who would challenge me. She's easy to talk to and is supportive in the process. Another plus is that she has been responsive since we were connected and keeps me posted." This review was written on April 29th on their website, and they have tons more. So visit trybetterhelp.com/kindness. That's better, HELP, and join the over 500,000 people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Special offer for Raising Kindness listeners: get 10% off your first month at trybetterhelp.com/kindness. Okay, thank you so much for listening to that. So, going into the bedrooms, I'm excited about this because we've recently redone our bedrooms. Hold on just a second. Let me put my mic is good. I record all of these live unedited, by the way, in case you didn't know. Going into each room, so we have one teenage boy who's here part-time, and then we have our little one who has his own room. And then we've used them very interestingly now, and we really had to put a lot of thought into it. It actually took us a couple days of moving furniture around and going, okay, I'm not really liking this. Let's look at it tomorrow. And don't be afraid of that. It's great to embrace experimentation when you're moving things around and trying it out. And we actually did the same in our living room, where we moved the couch another place completely. This is a side story. So we moved the couch to another place completely, moved everything around, realized we didn't like it at all, and then moved everything exactly where it was. So it was kind of funny. We cleared some stuff out, moved the couch exactly where it was. We moved the entertainment center back, and everything was exactly where it was, plus just a little bit better with things better organized or whatever. So that's going to happen. And the good news about that is when you start to move furniture around and you start to explore different ideas, is it gives you a great chance to dust those baseboards, get those dust bunnies out of there, clean up the carpets that you haven't vacuumed in a couple years or longer, So it's a good chance to get some things really cleaned up, especially when you're like, I really want to do a spring cleaning and do this right and put some love into my home and make it a sanctuary. Part of making your home a sanctuary is keeping it clean, so that the air that you're breathing is just a little bit less stuffy, and it just feels good, doesn't it? Really, to get down into those baseboards and get those dust bunnies out of there. So with our boys' room, I'm going to start from our hallway. So our little boy's room has simply a bed, a hutch, and his little dresser. That's just one piece. He just has two pieces of furniture in there because it's a teeny tiny room. I think it's a 9 by 9, but thank goodness for the hutch. And if you don't have one, and if you're interested and you're kind of in the market for replacing furniture in your little one's rooms, is having a hutch is really nice because you can put the books in there, and if you rotate your toys, then you can rotate toys to the top of the shelf and move them to the bottom. It's just really nice to have the hutch. Or if you have our littles, then you could put diaper stuff there. It just makes things so handy having shelving. Or if you have shelving on the walls, you can even do that as an alternative, is putting shelving on the walls, get it off of that floor, and put it on the walls so that way you still have that shelf space and organizational space, but it's not taking up floor space. You know what I mean? And then as far as like design or anything, he's been really into Star Wars and outer space and the solar system. So that's kind of his room. And we actually just did a little DIY solar system in there that was really cute. I should put the link in. It was a YouTube video. This cute little boy. Oh goodness, he was so cute doing it with his mom, making this solar system mobile. And if you guys are interested in doing something like that, I'll go ahead and put it in the show notes too. And it was a fun little craft that we could have done. We did in month 1 of being under quarantine. So anyway, moving on. Then we have in our room now. It's interesting because you're probably the same, where you just put all your love into the kids and put all your love into the front spaces that people see, and then your bedroom is atrocious. And that's how it really was for us. Probably for the first 6 months that we lived here, because we were working on all the other rooms. And then it took us a really long time. I would say even longer. It was a Christmas present to ourselves. It was actually the time when we finally put some love into our room. And what we did there is all we have is our bed, and then we have the 2 dressers. I have mine, and then he has his, and then we have a really, really small closet. So we are actually, I think we're pretty minimal with our clothing. I feel like I wear the same 10 things all the time. But we're super mindful about the kind of clothes that we have. And I'm throwing this out there. I should definitely do an episode on this too, because it really does help to clear the clutter in your room. In all your spaces. I can't stress that enough, just because the more that you have to track, your brain just feels like it just has to track everything. I don't know what it is about whether it has its place or not. If you have too much stuff, it starts to feel overwhelming and you have too many choices. So if by limiting your choices and by knowing exactly what's in your closet, it just feels so much better. Especially if you have small closets and things are starting to get cluttered, maybe it might be a time to get rid of those scarves and accessories and old clothes that are totally outdated and from 2000, So, and it's so funny because I actually came across some stuff recently and I'm like, seriously, I still have this? I've had this since I was working at that one place in '02, and that happens. And that's okay. So, so when you're going through your room, give yourself some extra love in your closet, in your drawers, and get rid of old stuff. And one thing that we did that was really fun, not to get too rambly, but is we actually wrote down all the things that we felt that we did need to have as far as our wardrobe, and then we purged beyond that number. So, for example, like say 2 jackets and 1 heavy jacket and a sweater and 10 tank tops, you just make the list like that, exactly how many socks and underwear and all that stuff. We did this based on an article that we read long ago about minimalism. And it really helps you to go, oh, I don't need that. I don't want that to take up my number. And it really helps you to also go the other way where you're like, I really love this sweater and I already have 6 of them and I don't want to give those up either. Okay, I can go with 7 because we're not hardcore minimalists, but it is a nice benchmark to give you that discipline to make the decision to get rid of things, because it's just not necessary to have that many. And you've already acknowledged that before you got emotional about your clothes. So just throwing that out there. But we actually have created a space where my husband built a little shelf along the footing of our bed. So the foot end of our bed is no longer just 2 posts. He actually put a shelf all the way across from one post to the other at the end. And it has been amazing. We didn't know how it was going to work out, but we actually ended up putting our candle in our little totem that we meditate with our pillows that I usually meditate with on the bed, and put it there. So having the window open and turning down the lighting the candle, and just having that meditation space and being very intentional about having that meditation space has really been a great space. Like our bedroom is officially a sanctuary also. So, and then to go back to something I wanted to share with you too is our little one wasn't spending, Bodhi, he's 4, and he has been afraid of the dark for about a year or so now. Do you guys have any kids that are afraid of the dark? And they just don't want to be in their room by themselves, or they won't go to the bathroom by themselves, that kind of thing. He's been going through it, and we've been working through it. Well, what we've done is we happen to have this light strip that was in a drawer. We actually recently found it, and it was on clearance at one of the cell phone stores or something for like $10. It's kind of like a what is that called? Hue bulb strip, but it was a knockoff one for really cheap. And we picked it up thinking we would use it, and it just sat in the drawer. And then we ended up setting it up in his room so he feels like, I could turn on my lighting to different colors with the little control it comes with. And I put on music in there. So it's just on all day. And we just started doing that a couple weeks ago, maybe. And it has been huge because now he's officially using his room as his own sanctuary place. He's playing in there because the music keeps calling him in there. It's inviting. So if you have kids that are afraid of the dark, that's just something to throw out there. If you're struggling with them using their own space as a play space and a sanctuary, it might be because they're afraid or intimidated or don't want to be alone. It's totally normal. So throwing music on in different rooms is a great way to add a sanctuary ambiance to your space too. So uplifting yourself. I actually have an episode, and I'll put it in the show notes, all about incorporating music into your life, because I really think it is a great way to uplift your mood overall, even if it's just mellow background music that you're not really fully engaged in. It's great. It's just great to have music on in general. Okay, so moving on to our last bedroom. So I covered everything in our own room, and then in our older son's room, because he's here part-time, he has his space. So he has his dresser, he has his bed, and he actually happens to have the master bedroom. We don't even have the master. It's just worked out that way. I don't remember why it worked out that way, but he has the master with the master bathroom, and because he's here part-time now, then he's got his dresser and his bed, but we also doubled it up as a space for the office. So our office shares space with his bedroom, since he has the biggest room in the house. And it's actually really nice because he can then do his homework at this desk too. So when he needs the desk, then he can use the desk, and we all use it freely. It's a family desk. And the one rule about that is place for everything in its place. We try to keep everything clear. So we try not to keep anything in on the desk. And I had a friend who came over, and I can have her come on. I almost dropped you guys. I can actually have her come on the show. She's a professional organizer, and she helps lots of families organize their stuff. And especially, I feel like us families are the most challenging because there are so many people in the house versus a young couple who doesn't have kids, or older couple where the kids are gone. But I mean, just things can constantly be torn apart, and looks like a tornado ran through the room because kids are involved, and you're partially disconnected because kids are involved. You're split in so many different directions. So she actually came over and helped us organize our papers by setting up I don't even know what to call them, file folders. If I do that video for you guys, then you'll see the file folders that we do. They're actually sitting on the dresser, and each one has its own label. So mommy has hers, daddy has his, and then we have a couple extras that are like bills or taxes. I'm just looking at them right now. So to recap, because that's all our house. And if you want to see that tour, please let me know. raisingkindness.org/46 will take you over to this episode's webpage with the comments, and you can just comment there, participate in the conversation. I'm going to really start encouraging you guys to participate in the conversation, because this is all for you. And I work very hard to be very thoughtful about all the things that I post here for you. And Raising Kindness is all about helping you in your lifestyle and raising your kids in the way that you want, with love and kindness and thoughtfulness, and bringing about a way of living that's all about the joyful things in life. And this is one of them, creating that sanctuary. So I think this is a very important place to start if you're not really sure where to start to put love into your home. And I would love to bring on some experts to share some more knowledge with you about it. So to recap, ultimately, this is all about being mindful about your space, thinking about how you like to use it, thinking about how you're not using it, thinking about how you can organize your home so things organically end up with a place for everything in its place. So thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate you. And please do participate at raisingkindness.org/46. I look forward to talking with you over there. Take care.